I'm the youngest in my family, and by the time both my parents worked, and I think I was not like my sisters. My sisters were baton twirlers, and they were involved in pageants, and that just wasn't natural to me. And from a very young age, I just was attracted to the athletics. But I never saw women playing sports. It was always baseball, and I'd see the guys play. And so when I got to middle school, basically, in the 7th grade was the first time that I was participating in PE, organized PE, and then we'd have, softball, and we'd kind of play for, basketball, and I loved it, and yet there was nothing organized and available. And so in the 8th grade, I met a woman who the recreational department had organized recreational teams for girls, and she happened to be the girls' coach at a private high school, St. Vincent Ferrer, which is a small Catholic school. And at the time, they did volleyball, they did basketball, and they did softball, and yet all 3 of those teams were involved in AAU, which meant that high school competed at a collegiate level. And that was very attractive to me because it was really organized. And so when it was my freshman year, I went ahead and applied, and I got in. And sure enough, it's exactly what I thought it was. She was a hard, tough, demanding coach. I mean, we were, I think, decades ahead of other women's sports programs, and definitely in the high school level. And I really missed that when I went on to college, because I chose a college that was a small Catholic school. And yet it didn't have a sports program, because I really thought I need to focus on academics. Sports is not something that I'm going to do in my life. And when I got to college, I really missed it. And so there were other girls that had played basketball. And so we kind of did an ad hoc team. And then we'd find other colleges that didn't have organized women's teams. And so they also would create this ad hoc basketball team. And then we kind of created our own little league among 4 or 5 Catholic colleges. It wasn't until my senior year that we finally got the school to cough up a few dollars. The Marine Corps was, I think, just an opportunity that it came at a crossroads in my life, I think. I was a young sophomore in college. Was the first one in my family to go to college, and I really struggled because there just wasn't anybody at the school that kind of looked like me. And I think I had convinced myself that someone who looked like me doesn't go to college, that's not our place. And I was really at the point where I was going to drop out, and had the opportunity one particular day to go mail a letter. And on that particular day, a Marine recruiter came out, looked at me, and said, "Why aren't you a United States Marine?" And of course, I'm 19 years old, and I look at him and said, "Look, buddy, just get away from me. I'm trying to mail a letter." He was very persistent. He asked me about challenges. He told me, you have an opportunity to do something that very few women have the opportunity to do. And he really basically said, you'd be joining an organization that doesn't necessarily want you. But if you earn the title of Marine, you'll have the opportunity, and the doors will open for you, through hard work. And it just, it was a great pitch. And I met him on the 30th of April. On the 4th of May, I raised my hand and said, "I do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution." And on the 7th of May, I found myself at Parris Island, South Carolina, being greeted by a woman drill instructor. And as I stood there being yelled at, I thought, oh, what did I do? But it was literally the best decision I could have made. To be perfectly honest, I know I would not have achieved much of the success, which as a Marine, I rose from private to Major General in the United States Marine Corps. I was the first Latina to make General in the United States Marine Corps, only the 6th woman in the history of the Marine Corps, and we've been around since 1775. All that I really attribute to the fact that I learned some of the most basic skills in sports. I Play After School provides, I think, the kids that participate that whole idea of being somewhere safe. I think it's an opportunity for them also to learn about discipline and teamwork. I think people in San Antonio should get behind after-school sports programs, because It's an opportunity for kids to find a passion. And I think that every single child, and especially an underserved child, because so often sports today, to be able to participate, you have to pay. It's not just like going down to the ball field anymore and just kind of having a chance to join because somebody says, I've got this. Today, it really does require a great deal of funding. It's really, really important for people to support after-school programming for kids. I Play After School Sports is a perfect example, and Girl Scouts is another great example, because without the support, financial donations, we can't do these programs.